Top 7 vitamins that raise stroke risk overnight. It's a chilling thought, but did you know that a single vitamin, one you faithfully take every night, believing it safeguards your well-being, could actually be quietly increasing your risk of a stroke while you sleep? There are often no explicit warnings, no sharp pains, no unsettling dizziness. You might drift off to sleep feeling entirely normal, perfectly at peace. Yet, by the time morning arrives, an imperceptible shift could have occurred within your bloodstream. Your voice might falter, an arm might refuse to lift, your very thoughts could feel trapped and distant. And the insidious truth is that this cascade of events could all begin with a simple pill you had placed your trust in, an act of self-care gone awry. For millions of Americans over the age of 60, integrating vitamins into their daily lives has become a deeply ingrained ritual. It's a routine often embraced with the noble intention of bolstering heart health, sharpening cognitive function, and striving to hold the natural progression of aging at bay. However, a crucial piece of information that many seniors never encounter is that certain vitamins behave dramatically differently within an older body. This altered dynamic is particularly pronounced during the quiet hours of the night, a period when our circulation naturally slows, blood can become subtly thicker, and blood pressure often experiences its own nocturnal fluctuations. In these deeply silent and vulnerable hours, the very supplements you had diligently taken for your benefit can, paradoxically, exert an adverse effect. They possess the capacity to destabilize the delicate rhythm of your heart, disrupt the integrity of your blood vessels, and inadvertently create the precise conditions where a dangerous blood clot can form, silently and unseen, in the dark. As the night unfolds and you slumber peacefully, those familiar vitamins could be quietly shaping the trajectory of your tomorrow. It is imperative that we shed light on the specific ones that could, quite literally, change everything you know. Among the myriad of vitamins that older Americans consume with the purest of intentions, high-dose vitamin E, specifically dosages exceeding 400 international units IU per day, stands out as one that I genuinely wish every senior understood with far greater clarity. This is because it harbors a silent, often underestimated danger that becomes significantly more serious once a person crosses the threshold of 60 years of age. For decades, vitamin E was vigorously marketed and embraced as a miraculous antioxidant, leading many to take it in the heartfelt belief that it would offer robust protection for their heart, enhance their memory, or provide a vital boost to their immune system. However, what most older adults are never fully informed about is that vitamin E, when consumed at doses above 400 IU, possesses the remarkable ability to dramatically thin the blood. This thinning effect is so potent that it can fundamentally alter how your blood vessels respond, especially during the crucial hours of your sleep. At night, as your blood pressure naturally tends to rise in the early morning hours and the body's circulation becomes inherently slower, that excessive thinning of the blood transforms into a perilous setup, a silent precursor to disaster. There's no sensation of pain, no overt warning signal. You simply close your eyes, drift into a peaceful slumber, and remain entirely oblivious to the dangerous process silently unfolding beneath the surface of your body. As the years advance, the protective inner lining of our intricate blood vessels begins to grow more fragile and susceptible. The arteries themselves tend to stiffen, losing the youthful elasticity they once possessed. The tiny, delicate vessels nestled deep within the brain no longer expand and contract with the same responsive agility. The blood itself, reflecting these changes, can become thicker, flow more sluggishly, and grow increasingly vulnerable to turbulent forces. When a high dose of vitamin E enters this aged system, it actively suppresses platelet activity, the very ingenious mechanism your body employs to seal off the minute tears and abrasions that inevitably occur within your vessels. During the night, as your heart rate naturally dips and your breathing pattern slows, blood can begin to pool and collect in these weakened or compromised areas. In older adults, this particular combination of factors precisely creates the conditions for silent bleeding to commence. This often initiates the dangerous sequence of events that can trigger strokes, leading to the formation of hazardous blood clots. A particularly concerning aspect is that nighttime strokes frequently occur during the deepest phases of sleep, meaning that many individuals never wake up in time to even comprehend what is happening, let alone seek critical help. I've personally witnessed and cared for patients who diligently consumed 800 to 1,000 international units of vitamin E every single evening, operating under the deeply mistaken assumption that it was completely harmless, simply because it was just a vitamin. I recall one gentleman in his 70s who had taken it for years, utterly unaware that it was profoundly magnifying the effects of the prescribed blood thinner he was on for a mild heart condition. He retired to bed after a calm Sunday, anticipating nothing out of the ordinary. By the break of dawn, he had suffered a severe intracranial bleed, a devastating event caused not by external trauma, nor by stress, but by a vitamin he had unreservedly trusted. That profound realization that the danger sprang not from recklessness, but from a habit meticulously cultivated with good intentions, is what truly deeply saddens and concerns me when I engage in conversations with older adults and their families. The risk associated with high-dose vitamin E becomes even more acutely pronounced when it is combined with a range of medications that many seniors routinely take on a daily basis. Common culprits include aspirin, Plavix, warfarin, and Eliquis, as well as various herbal supplements such as ginkgo biloba or garlic extract. Even seemingly benign fish oil can significantly amplify this blood-thinning effect. When these substances converge within the bloodstream, they collectively create an internal environment where even a minor fluctuation in blood pressure during sleep can become catastrophic, potentially rupturing a fragile vessel or allowing a dangerous clot to dislodge and travel directly into the brain. Furthermore, given that nighttime dehydration is a regrettably common occurrence in older age, the blood itself becomes more concentrated, which in turn escalates the power and impact of sudden pressure spikes. It is, in essence, a perfect storm, yet most seniors remain tragically unaware that they are unknowingly walking straight into its path. The terrifying aspect of this phenomenon is its utter imperceptibility. You won't feel a sudden dizziness before bed. You won't sense your blood thinning. You won't perceive the silent, insidious pressure building behind a vessel wall. The vast majority of nighttime strokes attributed to vitamin E overdose manifest in individuals who reported feeling perfectly fine just the evening before. If a simple, readily available over-the-counter supplement can conjure such a level of danger within the intricate network of the bloodstream, it compels us to contemplate the profound implications of a vitamin that simultaneously alters your nerves, compromises your balance, and disrupts your heart rhythm. The next point of discussion concerns a supplement that is perhaps even more commonly misunderstood and widely used. Having explored the concerning effects of vitamin E, we now turn our attention to another seemingly innocuous supplement, one that is perhaps even more commonly misunderstood and widely consumed among older adults. High-dose vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine, occupies a unique position among the supplements that older Americans frequently reach for. It is extensively marketed as a remedy that calms frayed nerves, revitalizes flagging energy levels, and provides robust support for overall brain function. However, for seniors, particularly those who have passed the age of 65, high-dose B6 can inflict a far more insidious and dangerous harm. Quietly, gradually, and often without any overt warning signs, it possesses the capacity to injure the very nerves that are indispensable for tasks like feeling your feet firmly planted on the ground, maintaining a stable sense of balance, and navigating safely from one room to the next. When these vital nerves begin to fail or become compromised, the body's natural response is marked by instability, sudden and unpredictable drops in blood pressure, and erratic changes in circulation that pose a particularly heightened hazard during the night. Many seniors tend to dismiss a little numbness or tingling as a harmless, inevitable sign of aging, a minor inconvenience. However, from a neurological perspective, these sensations are frequently a distressing indicator that the intricate system is slowly but surely losing its critical control. This profound loss of control subsequently creates the ideal, fertile environment for nighttime strokes, precisely because unstable circulation stands as one of the strongest yet most silent triggers of such events in older adults. Vitamin B6, when consumed above its safe limits, which often means anything consistently exceeding 50 to 100 milligrams daily, can lead to a specific form of nerve toxicity, scientifically termed sensory neuropathy. The core issue lies in the fact that most seniors are simply unaware of the cumulative amount of B6 they are actually consuming. This vitamin is a pervasive ingredient found in various energy formulas, comprehensive multivitamins, specialized nerve support blends, sleep aids designed to promote rest, and even popular over-the-counter memory boosters. An individual might genuinely believe they are adhering to a safe and recommended dose, but by inadvertently combining multiple supplements that all contain B6, they can end up consuming 2, 3, or even 4 times the advised levels. And as the body ages, its metabolic machinery slows down, meaning it becomes less efficient at clearing out this excess B6. Consequently, the vitamin can gradually accumulate within the system for years before any noticeable symptoms eventually make their unwelcome appearance. When the delicate nerves in the legs and feet suffer damage, seniors progressively begin to lose the crucial ability to accurately feel the floor beneath them. Their gait changes, they unconsciously shift their weight differently, they wobble more noticeably, and they resort to taking smaller, more hesitant steps in an attempt to compensate for this sensory deficit. At night, when ambient visibility is naturally low and blood pressure typically drops as part of the body's rest cycle, this dangerous combination of impaired sensation and physiological changes becomes exceedingly perilous. A simple misstep or a sudden, unexpected fall is not merely a fall. It transforms into a potentially traumatic event that can tear fragile blood vessels, leading to internal bleeding or precipitating the formation of a blood clot that may later travel to the brain. Furthermore, because B6-induced neuropathy directly interferes with the fine, intricate signals that are essential for regulating circulation, the body becomes far more susceptible to experiencing abrupt and unpredictable changes in blood flow during sleep. These precise moments of circulatory instability are exactly when a dangerous clot can spontaneously form. It triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and it happens silently, insidiously, during the very hours when older adults are least conscious of the profound struggles their bodies are enduring. I have encountered numerous seniors who spent months, sometimes years, dismissing persistent tingling sensations in their hands, an unsettling burning in their feet, or a strange disembodied feeling that their legs were floating, all the while completely unaware that their seemingly benign daily vitamin routine was systematically and slowly damaging their nervous system. One particular widower in his early 70s had been diligently taking 3 different supplements, all of which contained B6 firmly, believing they would help him achieve better sleep and provide a much-needed boost to his energy. Over time, he tragically lost almost all sensation in his feet. One fateful night, as he rose from bed to use the bathroom, he collapsed without any prior warning, utterly bewildered as to why. What followed was a devastating chain reaction: severe bruising, a painful tear in a calf vein, and ultimately a lethal blood clot that dislodged and traveled upwards into his brain. It was a devastating stroke, not the result of an unavoidable disease, but the tragic consequence of a vitamin he had implicitly trusted. The most chilling aspect of high-dose B6 is its deceptive nature. It doesn't feel overtly dangerous while the damage is steadily accumulating. It creeps in slowly, masquerading as the harmless natural process of aging until it is tragically too late to reverse the profound harm. And if one vitamin can quietly dismantle nerve function, it compels us to consider the implications of another common supplement that actively overstimulates the heart itself, especially during the quiet vulnerability of the night, when the steady rhythm of a heartbeat can make the crucial difference between safety and catastrophe. Beyond these concerns, a different kind of risk emerges, particularly for those with existing heart conditions, as we delve into the surprising effects of vitamin B12. High-dose vitamin B12, especially in seniors with underlying heart conditions, might appear to be the safest of all vitamins among those commonly used by older adults in the United States. Medical professionals often recommend it for boosting energy levels, supporting memory retention, and maintaining healthy blood. Pharmacies prominently display it on their front shelves, and advertisements frequently promise that it will keep you mentally sharp and vital. However, for seniors, and most critically, for those grappling with heart rhythm problems, hardened arteries, or a documented history of high blood pressure, high-dose B12 harbors a hidden danger that remains largely unspoken. It possesses the insidious ability to silently overstimulate the entire cardiovascular system precisely at night, during the hours when the body is intrinsically meant to rest and rejuvenate. This nocturnal overstimulation can tragically become the spark that ignites a stroke long before the morning light appears. Vitamin B12 itself is not inherently harmful when consumed in normal recommended doses. However, when it is taken at elevated levels, particularly through injections or supplements exceeding 1,000 micrograms, it can inadvertently propel the nervous system into an unwanted state of heightened nighttime alertness. Consequently, the heart begins to beat faster, its rhythm quickening. For older adults, especially those whose arteries have already become stiffened or who have an underlying condition like atrial fibrillation, this sudden and uncharacteristic acceleration of the heart rate is not merely uncomfortable. It represents a direct and tangible threat to their health. A heart that beats excessively fast often pumps blood unevenly, inadvertently creating small pockets where blood can swirl turbulently and then stagnate. And stagnant blood, as it almost invariably does in seniors with compromised circulation, forms dangerous clots. A clot that silently forms at 2 a.m. could very well be the same clot that ultimately blocks a vital vessel in the brain at 6 a.m., leading to a devastating stroke. It triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and in the vast majority of these tragic instances, the individual remains utterly unaware that their seemingly innocuous nighttime vitamin routine played a pivotal destructive role. I vividly recall meeting a 79-year-old gentleman from Ohio who, with unwavering faith, received B12 injections twice a week. He genuinely believed this regimen would magically restore the vigor and energy he had enjoyed in his younger years. This kind man also had a mild form of atrial fibrillation, a condition he confidently believed was well controlled because he rarely experienced the telltale irregular beats. Yet, as the high-dose B12 gradually accumulated in his system, he began to notice a series of strange and unsettling nighttime episodes. He would awaken with his heart pounding forcefully, feeling intensely flushed, and sweating profusely through his pajamas, all without any accompanying fever. He attributed these perplexing symptoms to stress or perhaps vivid nightmares. Then, one morning, his wife discovered him disoriented and confused, his speech slurred and broken. A stroke had occurred hours earlier, during the quietest and most vulnerable part of the night, tragically triggered when his heart inexplicably slipped into a rapid, unstable rhythm, allowing a dangerous clot to form. He was a man who had conscientiously done everything right. He took his prescribed medications diligently, walked daily, and ate sensibly. Yet the very supplement he trusted pushed his already vulnerable heart just far enough off balance to cruelly cost him the life he knew. The undeniable truth is that as we age, the intricate neural wiring connecting the heart and the brain becomes increasingly fragile. Our arteries progressively lose their youthful flexibility, becoming stiffer. The heart's complex electrical system grows more sensitive and prone to dysregulation. And crucially, the brain depends absolutely on a steady, uninterrupted flow of blood to safely navigate the challenges of the night. High-dose B12, in this context, effectively pours fuel onto a system that can no longer tolerate sudden, drastic changes. It possesses the capacity to raise blood pressure unexpectedly, force the heart into sudden, unsustainable bursts of overactivity, and critically, create the perfect conditions for a blood clot to silently take shape while a senior lies peacefully asleep, utterly unaware that danger is quietly building from the inside out. The most unsettling aspect of this phenomenon is that seniors often consume high-dose B12 in the evening, genuinely believing it will aid their sleep or restore strength overnight. In stark reality, it does the opposite. It actively rouses and overstimulates the cardiovascular system precisely when it should be settling into quiet repose, and the body ultimately pays a steep price for this misunderstanding. And if a simple vitamin can propel the heart into chaos, it begs the question of what happens when a supplement actively thickens the blood itself, making the bloodstream heavier, stickier, and exponentially more prone to forming clots during sleep. This particular threat is even more widespread and pervasive, and it is the next critical danger we must meticulously examine. The widespread prevalence of the next supplement we discuss makes its hidden dangers all the more concerning. For many older adults throughout America, high-dose vitamin D taken at night feels like an essential lifeline. It is routinely recommended for maintaining robust bone strength, bolstering the immune system, and even positively influencing mood. Doctors frequently encourage seniors to take it, particularly during the winter months when exposure to natural sunlight is severely limited. However, what almost no one truly understands, and what many physicians unfortunately fail to explain with sufficient clarity, is that high-dose vitamin D, specifically when ingested at night, can subtly but profoundly create conditions within an aging bloodstream that transform restful sleep into a perilous moment of vulnerability. When the dosage of vitamin D is excessively strong, or when it is taken at an inappropriate time of day, it can subtly yet significantly alter the delicate chemistry of the blood, contributing to the stiffening of blood vessels, elevating nighttime calcium levels, and, disturbingly, creating the precise internal environment in which a stroke can silently form before the dawn. Most seniors do not fully comprehend that vitamin D is far more than just a bone vitamin. It plays an exceptionally powerful and intricate role in regulating calcium absorption throughout the body. When an older person consumes substantial doses, whether it be 5,000 IU, 10,000 IU, or sometimes even more, the bloodstream can become dangerously overloaded with calcium during the night. And calcium, contrary to popular belief, is not a benign substance when its levels become imbalanced. When these levels rise too high, even by a seemingly small margin, it can cause the blood to become discernibly thicker and more resistant to smooth, unobstructed flow. Thickened blood, by its very nature, is slow blood. And slow blood, especially as it navigates through the narrow, stiffened arteries characteristic of aging, transforms into a perilous breeding ground for the formation of dangerous clots. Older blood vessels, having lost their elasticity, simply cannot expand and contract with the same flexibility they once did. Their protective lining becomes more fragile, the smooth muscle within their walls stiffens, and the brain relies on a delicate, steady, and uninterrupted circulation to remain viable and healthy throughout the night. When high-dose vitamin D inadvertently pushes calcium levels upward overnight, it directly triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. And precisely because this critical shift occurs while the body is deeply at rest, the subtle warning signs often go completely unnoticed until the irreversible damage has already been tragically done. I once provided care for an elderly woman in her early 80s who conscientiously took 10,000 IU of vitamin D every single evening because she harbored a profound fear of developing osteoporosis. She firmly believed that by sleeping with such a full dose within her system, her bones would optimally absorb it overnight, ensuring their strength. Instead, she began to experience a disconcerting pattern of waking with persistent headaches, morning confusion, and an unsettling tightness in her chest. Her worried family initially attributed these symptoms to stress or simply the inevitable march of age catching up with her. Then, one morning, she found herself unable to lift her right arm. A subsequent scan revealed a significant clot in her middle cerebral artery, definitively indicating a nighttime stroke that had occurred hours earlier. When we meticulously checked her laboratory results, her calcium levels were markedly elevated, her blood was unusually concentrated, and her vessels exhibited clear signs of considerable stress. Vitamin D did not, in isolation, cause the stroke, but it undeniably created the perilous internal conditions that made it almost inevitable. This stark reality is something that many seniors regrettably do not hear or fully grasp. As the human body ages, it progressively loses its innate ability to regulate calcium efficiently. The kidneys, the body's natural filters, no longer clear it from the bloodstream as quickly as they once did. Blood vessels lose their capacity to respond smoothly and adaptively, and the intricate physiology of nighttime undergoes significant changes. Blood pressure typically dips, then often rises sharply just before dawn. Breathing slows, which can lead to mild, often unrecognized dehydration. The heart pumps with less overall force. All of these natural, age-related physiological changes combine to make the bloodstream far more sensitive and reactive to any supplement that subtly alters its delicate chemistry. High-dose vitamin D, when taken in the evening, actively pushes this finely tuned system out of balance at the absolute worst possible time, during sleep, when the brain cannot afford any instability in blood flow or pressure. What renders this situation particularly frightening is its apparent ordinariness. A single vitamin capsule, a familiar bottle resting on the nightstand, a routine that feels inherently harmless. Yet for seniors, this one simple habit can inadvertently open the door to the most devastating type of stroke imaginable, the kind that arrives without pain, without any discernible warning, and critically, without any precious time to call for help. And if a vitamin can quietly alter calcium levels and thicken the blood, one must truly ponder the danger posed by a supplement that directly interferes with the body's intricate clotting system, one that can in fact counteract the life-saving medications older adults depend on. That particular threat is even more cunningly hidden, and it is the next crucial danger we absolutely must uncover. Moving on to another critical yet often overlooked danger, we must discuss vitamin K2, especially for seniors who are taking blood thinners. For countless older adults across America, vitamin K2 has surged in popularity, becoming one of the most widely consumed supplements on the market. Medical professionals sometimes mention its role in bone health. Health influencers frequently extol its virtues for heart protection, and advertisements boldly promise that it will expertly guide calcium directly into your bones, rather than allowing it to accumulate perilously in your arteries. On the surface, it sounds utterly harmless, profoundly helpful, even revolutionary. However, for seniors, and particularly for those who are already taking blood thinners or medications to manage heart rhythm problems, vitamin K2 carries a deeply hidden danger that most people only learn about when it is tragically too late. It doesn't induce a feeling of sickness. It doesn't cause pain. Instead, it operates quietly and insidiously within the bloodstream, subtly but significantly altering the precise way your body's intricate system forms clots. And in the profound stillness of the night, that minute, imperceptible shift can tragically escalate into a disaster that can steal your ability to speak, impair your movement, or strip away your cherished independence before the sun even has a chance to rise. The fundamental truth is that vitamin K2 belongs to the same biochemical family as vitamin K1, the nutrient that doctors emphatically advise patients on warfarin to either meticulously avoid or monitor with extreme caution. While K1 directly and powerfully impacts blood clotting, K2 still plays a substantial and undeniable role in the complex clotting pathway. For an older adult whose body is already struggling with compromised blood flow, stiffened arteries, or irregular heart rhythms, this seemingly innocent vitamin can disastrously interfere with the delicate, finely tuned balance that blood thinners are specifically designed to maintain. Blood thinners, it's important to clarify, don't actually thin the blood in the literal sense. Rather, they function by preventing blood clots from forming too easily or becoming excessively large. But when vitamin K2 is introduced into the daily routine, particularly without the explicit knowledge and oversight of a doctor, it can significantly weaken the medication's therapeutic effect, rendering the blood more prone to clotting than the senior even realizes. And it is precisely there that the true, terrifying danger truly begins. In the vulnerable hours after midnight, when breathing naturally slows, circulation becomes more sluggish and blood pressure inherently fluctuates. A dangerous clot that forms anywhere in the body, often originating in the legs, within the heart, or in the vessels of the neck, can travel like a silent, unseen invader directly to the brain. It triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and it accomplishes this devastating act at a time when older adults are deeply asleep, utterly incapable of sensing the precise moment something within their own bloodstream turns lethally against them. I cared for a 76-year-old man from Indiana who had been diligently taking warfarin for several years following a minor heart procedure. His blood coagulation levels had consistently remained stable, much to the satisfaction of his doctors. However, he began to encounter information about vitamin K2 online, learning about its purported benefits, how it supposedly cleaned arteries, how it built strong bones, and how it was universally safe for everyone. Without even a word to his physician, he decided to add a daily capsule of K2, specifically MK7, to his nightly routine. For several weeks, nothing outwardly seemed different. He slept normally, walked well, and genuinely believed he had made a smart, health-conscious choice. Then, one cold January morning, his wife found him slumped beside the bed, utterly unable to speak, one arm hanging limply at his side. The stroke had occurred sometime during the vulnerable early morning hours. When the hospital meticulously checked his blood, they discovered that the warfarin that had protected him for years was suddenly and profoundly ineffective. The K2 had reversed its anticoagulant effect just enough to permit a clot to form, travel, and ultimately lodge deep inside his brain. He survived the stroke, but his life, as he knew it, was irrevocably changed. His ability to talk, to swallow, even the simple act of holding a fork, everything was compromised. Most seniors remain tragically unaware of how incredibly sensitive the aging body becomes to even subtle changes in its coagulation system. As arteries progressively harden, general circulation slows, and the heart gradually loses some of its pumping efficiency. Even a minor shift in the body's clotting ability can precipitate enormous and life-altering consequences. Vitamin K2 may feel like an uncomplicated, simple supplement, but within the intricate bloodstream of someone over 65, particularly an individual taking warfarin, Eliquis, Xarelto, or even daily aspirin, it behaves like a powerful chemical switch. A single capsule possesses the capacity to tip the delicate balance from crucial protection to imminent danger. One capsule can grant a dangerous clot the critical opportunity to take shape while you sleep, and one capsule has the potential to erase decades of meticulous medical management. What makes this scenario even more alarming is that most seniors take K2 without carefully reading the dosage instructions, without fully understanding what MK7 signifies, and without realizing that this vitamin can remain biologically active in the bloodstream for several days, not just a few hours. That extended window of activity makes nighttime instability and vulnerability even more likely. And if a vitamin can so profoundly undo the very medication designed to protect your life, it compels us to contemplate the immense risk associated with a supplement that actively thickens the blood itself. A supplement so extraordinarily common that millions of older Americans consume massive doses of it every single day, mistakenly believing it to be utterly harmless. The next point of discussion addresses a threat that is far more widespread and, disturbingly, even more subtle in its insidious manifestation. The ubiquity of the next supplement we must address makes its potential for harm particularly insidious. For decades, high-dose vitamin C, especially in megadose powders and tablets, has been universally regarded as one of the safest supplements available in America. It's the familiar vitamin that mothers traditionally gave their children during the winter months. It's the go-to remedy people reached for to ward off colds. It's the nutrient seniors implicitly trust to strengthen their immune system. In pharmacies across the country, you'll encounter entire shelves laden with immune support powders, effervescent fizzy drinks, chewable tablets, and mega-strength formulations, all boldly promising unparalleled protection and renewed vitality. Yet, despite its seemingly benign reputation, high-dose or megadose vitamin C conceals a hidden danger for older adults, one that quietly alters the thickness of the blood, places undue stress on the kidneys, and creates conditions within the aging circulatory system that can tragically culminate in a stroke during the vulnerable hours of the night. It feels safe, it feels familiar, even comforting. But deep within the bloodstream, a very different and potentially dangerous process can be silently unfolding. As we gracefully navigate the process of aging, our bodies gradually lose water more quickly, making dehydration a more persistent concern. Kidney function, even in seniors who perceive themselves as perfectly healthy, inevitably experiences a natural decline. Blood vessels stiffen and become less pliable, and nighttime dehydration, as previously noted, emerges as a regrettably common problem, particularly for older adults who deliberately avoid drinking water in the evening out of a well-intentioned fear of waking up to use the bathroom and potentially falling. When a senior consumes high-dose vitamin C, whether it's 1,000 mg, 2,000 mg, or sometimes even an astounding 3,000 mg in a single serving, it actively increases urine production, thereby pulling essential fluid out of the bloodstream and consequently concentrating the blood. Thick, concentrated blood moves more slowly, sluggishly, through the circulatory system. And slow-moving blood is precisely where dangerous clots begin to form. It triggers strokes, it forms blood clots. And for seniors, these perilous clots frequently develop during the quiet, vulnerable hours of sleep, a time when circulation naturally slows and the heart beats with less overall force. I once conversed with a widowed woman in her late 70s who diligently drank a popular immune-boosting fizz packet every single night throughout the winter season. She held the firm conviction that it kept her strong and resilient. However, she also made a conscious effort to avoid drinking water after 6 p.m. because she harbored a deep-seated fear of nighttime falls on her way to the bathroom. Over time, she began to experience a recurring pattern of waking with persistent headaches and a pervasive dry mouth, symptoms she regrettably brushed off as simply aging. Then, one morning, she found herself inexplicably unable to lift her arm. A clot had silently formed during the night, at a time when her blood had become excessively concentrated, too thick and too sluggish to flow freely through her already stiffened arteries. When the emergency room doctor meticulously reviewed her supplement regimen, the stark truth became painfully clear. Her nightly megadose vitamin C, tragically combined with her evening dehydration, had inadvertently created the perilous conditions that allowed a life-altering blood clot to take shape as she slept. Most seniors simply do not recognize the profound power that high-dose vitamin C can exert within their bodies. They are often unaware that it can significantly increase oxalate levels, which places an undue strain on the kidneys, or that certain powdered formulas can contain surprisingly high levels of sodium, leading to unexpected nighttime blood pressure surges. They do not realize that the kidneys of a 75-year-old simply cannot flush out excess vitamin C with the same efficiency as they could at 30 or 40 years of age, and they certainly do not grasp that the nighttime hours, specifically when blood pressure dips and then rises sharply before dawn, represent the most dangerous window for thickened blood to circulate through fragile aging vessels. Even a small clot, one that might initially form in a calf vein or near the heart, possesses the capacity to travel upwards during these critical early morning fluctuations, blocking the vital blood supply to the brain within mere seconds. However, the inherent danger doesn't always manifest itself through dramatic, immediate symptoms. Sometimes it begins with something far more subtle. Waking up feeling inexplicably dizzy, experiencing an unusual pressure behind the eyes, a persistent stiffness in the neck, or an uncharacteristic sense of profound fatigue in the morning. These seemingly minor sensations can serve as early, crucial warning signs that nightly supplement habits are subtly pushing the body toward a perilous point of instability, one that older, less resilient arteries simply cannot withstand. And because vitamin C is so deeply familiar, so universally trusted, many seniors never even suspect that it could be contributing to the very health crisis they fear most. The truth, though simple, is profoundly frightening. When a vitamin actively thickens the blood of an older adult, the risk of a nighttime stroke rises dramatically. And when that particular vitamin is consumed every single night, the danger becomes an insidious part of a silent routine, one that slowly but steadily increases the likelihood of waking up to a life forever and irrevocably changed. And if a common vitamin like C can thicken the blood, one must gravely consider the risk of taking a supplement that not only impacts blood thickness, but also artfully combines multiple hidden ingredients, often so many that seniors don't even realize the true cumulative amount they are consuming. That type of supplement is alarmingly prevalent across America, and it represents the next critical danger you absolutely need to clearly understand. This brings us to a pervasive and often deceptive category: multivitamins with hidden high doses of the most common vitamins. On the surface, taking a multivitamin feels like a responsible, even commendable act. After all, so many of us grew up with the ingrained understanding that a daily multivitamin effectively covers the gaps, keeps us robustly strong, or actively fends off illness. However, what millions of seniors tragically fail to realize is that the formulation of modern multivitamins has undergone a dramatic and profound transformation. Today's commercially available formulas frequently contain high-dose blends of various vitamins, including vitamin E, vitamin K2, B6, B12, vitamin D, zinc, alongside a host of herbal stimulants and other compounds specifically engineered to boost energy or revitalize mental clarity. When these potent ingredients inadvertently overlap with the other individual supplements that older adults take separately, the body can become unexpectedly flooded with powerful doses that the aging bloodstream was simply never designed to handle. This quiet, insidious overdose doesn't manifest with the immediate alarming signs of poisoning. Instead, within the delicate and already compromised circulatory system of an older adult, it behaves with a similar, silent, destructive force. The true danger of these modern multivitamins is not typically the single pill itself in isolation. Rather, it lies in the complex and often unexamined combination, the cumulative stacking effect, and the clever way ingredients are often hidden behind each other, silently building up day after day, week after week. An older adult, driven by the best of intentions, might conscientiously take a multivitamin specifically for energy, a separate formulation for bone support, a dedicated immune booster, and perhaps even a specialized blend for heart health. Without consciously realizing it, they may inadvertently be consuming 2, 3, or even 5 times the recommended daily dose of vitamins that directly and profoundly influence critical bodily functions such as blood thickness, nerve function, blood pressure regulation, and the body's intricate clotting system. A younger, more resilient body might be able to tolerate such an overload without immediate or noticeable damage. However, for someone over the age of 65, whose blood vessels have already naturally narrowed and stiffened, whose kidneys are no longer capable of clearing excess nutrients with youthful efficiency, and whose heart pumps with inherently less force at night, that accumulated, stacked dosage becomes a silent yet deeply formidable threat. What renders multivitamin overload particularly frightening is that the initial symptoms rarely appear overtly dangerous or alarming. A faint tingling sensation in the feet, a mild dizziness upon waking in the morning, a night of somewhat restless sleep, or a fleeting racing heartbeat that quickly subsides. Seniors, understandably, often dismiss these subtle manifestations, attributing them to the inevitable, benign process of just age catching up. But from a medical standpoint, these are not benign. They are crucial warning signals indicating that the bloodstream is under significant stress, that circulation is slowing down, that internal pressure is rising, and that blood chemistry is shifting in ways that the sensitive brain simply cannot tolerate for an extended period. And when blood flow becomes unstable during sleep, it inevitably triggers strokes. It forms dangerous blood clots. It sets in motion the very catastrophic events that have tragically caught so many older Americans by surprise in the quiet, vulnerable hours just before dawn. I once cared for an 82-year-old grandmother from Arizona who, with an earnest desire for health, took 3 different store-bought supplements, all of them generically labeled as multivitamin or complete senior formula. She was completely unaware that each of these seemingly distinct products contained overlapping and often excessive amounts of vitamin E, vitamin D, B6, and K2. She firmly believed that because they were readily available over the counter, they must inherently be gentle, natural, and unequivocally safe. Over time, she began to experience a consistent pattern of waking with headaches, followed by episodes of morning weakness, and then unsettling instances where she felt her heart fluttering while lying down. Her concerned daughter eventually convinced her to go to the hospital after she suffered an unexplained fall one night. The comprehensive tests revealed a clot in her leg, evidence of thickened blood, and minor bleeding in her brain. Clear and distressing signs that her body had been silently struggling for months before finally reaching a critical breaking point. Her stroke did not stem from a disease she had negligently ignored. It tragically came from the very vitamins she had so implicitly trusted. Older adults, through no fault of their own, frequently underestimate how incredibly fragile nighttime circulation becomes with advancing age. Blood pressure can drop and then rise unpredictably throughout the night. The heart can unexpectedly slip into irregular rhythms without any prior warning. The brain, our command center, demands a smooth, uninterrupted, and consistent supply of oxygen to survive the night unscathed. Yet, the blood naturally moves slower through stiffened arteries, particularly when the body is dehydrated. When a multivitamin overload compounds these age-related challenges by increasing the concentration of clot-promoting vitamins or introducing overstimulating ingredients, the delicate physiological balance tips even further out of reach. It transforms the night into a period of profound danger rather than restorative rest. And because seniors often take their supplements in the evening, after dinner, just before bed, the timing itself dramatically intensifies this inherent risk. What makes this issue even more heartbreaking is its fundamental preventability. With access to the right information, coupled with thoughtful adjustments to supplement routines, and a clearer, more nuanced understanding of how the aging body uniquely reacts to these compounds, seniors possess the power to protect themselves. But to truly achieve that, they must first grasp the broader, interconnected picture. They need to comprehend the underlying patterns linking all 7 of these hidden dangers, embrace the unvarnished truth about what truly threatens the brain at night, and implement the simple yet profound changes that could quite literally save a life. And that culminating message, the one that intricately ties everything we've discussed together, is the crucial part no older adult should ever miss. Final wake-up call. Protecting your brain begins tonight. After having meticulously explored how these 7 specific vitamins can quietly and insidiously alter your blood's consistency, disrupt your heart's rhythm, and compromise your overall circulation during the most fragile and vulnerable hours of the night, it becomes painfully and undeniably clear that the greatest danger confronting older adults isn't always a recognizable disease. More often, it is a profound misunderstanding, a lack of critical knowledge. Most seniors, without question, take vitamins because their deepest desire is to remain healthy, to steadfastly maintain their cherished independence, and to actively avoid the very serious problems we have so thoroughly discussed. However, the aging body operates under a distinct and unforgiving set of rules. What might have been entirely harmless and even beneficial at the age of 40 can tragically become a significant hazard by 70. What was once genuinely helpful can slowly and silently transform into a looming insidious threat. And what you choose to take before bed may hold far more profound implications for your health than you could ever have possibly imagined. Each of the vitamins we have meticulously discussed possesses the capacity to interfere with the delicate, finely balanced physiological equilibrium that your body must painstakingly maintain while you sleep. Some can thin the blood far too excessively, making it prone to hemorrhage. Others can dangerously thicken it, setting the stage for clot formation. Still others can inadvertently push your heart into irregular rhythms that it simply cannot tolerate or sustain. And some, by their very nature, disrupt the integrity and function of the vital blood vessels that meticulously feed your brain. When these individual effects are compounded by factors such as dehydration, the presence of stiff arteries, the unpredictable spikes in nighttime blood pressure, or the insidious presence of hidden heart conditions, the stage is suddenly and perilously set for a dangerous clot to form, or for a fragile vessel to rupture, long before the sun even manages to grace the horizon. Such events frequently trigger strokes. They lead to the formation of life-threatening blood clots. And in doing so, they cruelly steal from seniors the very things they cherish most deeply: their ability to speak, their precious memory, their vital mobility, their irreplaceable independence, and their inherent dignity. But rather than succumbing to fear, let this vital knowledge become your most powerful form of protection. Because the truth, the truly empowering truth, is that the vast majority of nighttime strokes directly linked to vitamin intake are in fact preventable. You possess a remarkable degree of control over your health trajectory. You have the inherent power to make thoughtful, proactive changes beginning tonight. Start by engaging in an open and honest conversation with your doctor before introducing any new supplements or combining existing ones. Make a conscious effort to avoid taking strong, high-dose vitamins in the evening. Carefully scrutinize your supplement labels for unexpectedly high dosages. Ensure you drink an adequate amount of water throughout the evening to prevent your blood from becoming dangerously thick and concentrated. And always remember that your age is not a weakness. Instead, it is a clear and unequivocal signal to care for your extraordinary body with greater precision, attention, and discernment, not less. You have lived too long, survived too much, and gained far too much invaluable wisdom to allow a simple vitamin bottle to inadvertently dictate your future. Your brain, your heart, and your cherished independence truly deserve your utmost protection, and the thoughtful, informed choices you make tonight may very well shape the quality and richness of the life you wake up to tomorrow. These profound lessons are not meant to instill fear, but rather to inspire you to live fully, authentically, and with robust health in every chapter of your life.